Hey, shelf people! I looked online on how to do a couple shelves to see if I can get different ideas, and I didn't even see this, the way I'm building these shelves online. Nobody's ever made a video on it. They're using single brackets or they're going in from the side. So I figured I'd do a little video on, I had a couple questions on how do you make the shelves or what wood. Look, I just buy the straight, whatever it is. I'm not special, they're not made for like painting, they're just garage shelves. They're great for holding ammo cans, heavy things. I mean, these shelves are pretty damn solid. I don't know if it'll hold me. Maybe I'll sit on this one after I screw it together. But so what I do is I go to Home Depot, and if you didn't know, they'll cut your lumber for you. So I just buy, I measure before. I know I need these, between these two metal C-joints there, it's always 36 inches. So I know I need 36 inches. So I buy a 12-footer of a 2x6, and I tell them to cut them in 36 inches each. So I end up with 4, so I can make 2 sets of shelves. And then I just buy 2 of these 2x10s, and they're 8 foot long, and I tell them to cut it in half. And now I have 2 4-foot shelves. And make sure you measure it. If you tell them 4 foot, some of them are not long, you'll have to do another cut when you get home. So I always tell them I want it cut in half equally. So I'll measure it with them. If it's, 8 foot 2 inches, then they'll be 4 foot 1 inches. But we just measure in half, cut them in half. That way both shelves are the same side, and they're going to fit in between these two 2x6s. So the 2x6s uprights, if you want to use 2x10s for your uprights, you could do that too and make these brackets a little bit farther apart. These brackets are pretty close together, but you know what? They make a good solid shelf. And those brackets I think are $276 for 4. And since I'm making, each shelf has 2 shelves, I need 8 of them. So I get 2 of those and some wood, and I have it do it. So I'm just going to go over the measurements real quick and kind of show you how I do it. It's not rocket science, but if you want to know how to build a shelf, hell, this is how I build mine. So I don't have the shelves equally spaced. When I put this up there, there's going to be a shelf here and a shelf here. So I just want to make sure that I can fit like a can or something. So the bottom shelf is about 11 inches. And 11 inches will fit most cans. So it's going to fit in between here. And then the next one I made a little bit taller because I wanted to be able to put tall things. So the next bench is going to be, it's 16 inches between these two, but I lose 1.5 inches for the wood, so it's actually about 14 inches. So that's going to be my second shelf, and then the top shelf, of course, is going to be 9 inches minus 1.5 inches. It's going to be 7.5. So depending on how you want to make your shelves, if you're putting ammo cans on it, you may want to make them to put where you can put ammo cans. But so after I measure and I draw my line, I basically just use this as a square to line my two brackets up. And because it goes across the 2x6s, on this third one, when I flip this over, it connects right there. So I know it's straight and they're going to be equal. And then I just slide my 2 brackets right there where I want them. Make sure that don't move. And now I know when I put these shelves up together, now make sure at the back here that they're equal. If they're like this, and you put this straight, you're going to have problems because they're not going to be equal. So at the bottom here, make sure that they're straight. That way you know they're going to be the same size. Then ground it up against this one. Keep it straight, and then I just put my 2 and make them about equal spaces right there. Now, if you want to, you can do a little drill bit and pilot hole. I'm using these wood deck screws, and they got a point from hell on them, man. I've been bleeding out all my damn fingers reaching in there and grabbing one, getting poked. So I don't really need, and this star, I mean, I'm telling you, man, if you're using screws, this kind of screw right here is so much better than a Phillips or a straight edge, because it holds the screw really well. It gives you a good grip. And it just, where you put it is where it stays. Now sometimes when you tighten it up, it'll tilt that little bracket there. So you may need to do another one. or straighten it up. So once I get my brackets on, again, I want to make sure they're all lined up, so I'm making sure that's grounded. I'm sliding this bracket into it. And again, I had to straighten this out a little bit because the screw kind of torqued it. So, and even if it's a little crooked, it's not going to matter. It's still going to screw into your shelf pretty good. And again, these shelves are, again, when you do your top shelf, you want to make sure, again, at the bottom down here, they're equal. Then I'm going to ground that out, and I'm going to put these two right up here. And I know people are going to say, man, these brackets are, that's way over. You don't need that much bracket, and those will hold way too much more weight than you need. Yeah, you know what? They will. But I don't like things breaking on me. So, you know what? I put the brackets. Making sure that's grounded, grounding my thing, my little. Now that one moved down just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and back that one out and do the top one so I can secure that a little bit. If you don't get right in the center hole, you get the bottom of the hole. When you pull it, it'll pull this down so the hole centers. So you kind of want to make sure you get in the center of the hole there when you get this screw so it gets it in the same spot. Okay, so now my brackets are in there. They're equal spaced, and I need one side, left side, right side, whatever. I've already measured over there. They're going to sit like this. The shelves are going to sit on it, and that's going to be my shelf. So I need to put these on here. And where's my number one at? Put a little number one over here. And then I have a number one drawn on one of these. There we go. And I've already got my little pilot holes here. On this right here, normally you would put it in the center and you would make sure it would be centered. I put mine a little far back because when they sit, this shelf here, it goes back and there's more shelf sticking out the front. So when I measured it, they need to be about 2.5 inches in, which is where it's at. And I've already got some pilot holes in there that I drilled before the video. So I should just be able to knock this out. Okay, so now this shelf's on this one. I need to put the other side over here. And again, in case you're watching what the hell I'm doing over there, I need to get that 1.5 inches or 2.5 inches right here, so I have the same amount of shelf sticking out front when I put this in. And I didn't pilot hole these, so I've got to I want to make sure this is good and flush against there. And once I get one in, I'm good to go. So it takes about 8 screws, 4 per bracket. I got 2 brackets on each side of a screw. So that's my one shelf there. Now I need to put on a second shelf. I'm going to pull this off. Set my second shelf on here the way I want to, making sure this is going to be the top of the shelf. So pick the side you want for the top. This is going to be the bottom. Then I'm going to set my shelf on top of that with those brackets. Hopefully you're able to see that. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, I guess you can see that. So now that I set that second bracket up there, and again this is upside down, and I already put some pilot holes in this side over here. The last one's the hardest because you got to get it squared up. Pretty simple shelf. You can put one in the closet. You can make it smaller wood, easier wood. These brackets just make it really solid, and I don't have any problems with them coming out. Now, because I've already screwed everything else, this one I've got to do some adjusting here, and I didn't mark it, so I have to come in, make sure I'm 2.5 back, and then get my first screw in. So I need to set my screw up here so I can get that in there. Get my 2.5, hold up my leg. Okay, so I'm at 2.5 right there. That should square me up. Oh! I hate when that happens. Now I gotta remeasure. I should just mark that with a damn dot instead of holding it. And it's in. And again, once you get one in, you're good to go. So then, that's pretty much, I mean, Home Depot does the cutting, so I don't have to worry about saw blades, sawdust, all that. I do my measurements, my cuts are done, the shelf's done. It's a pretty damn good shelf. And now it stands up right there. So again, ammo cans, whatever I want, wherever I want to put that, if I want to brace it in the back of a closet in a room, whatever. I mean, to me it's a simple shelf. Now I'm going to do one other thing that some people may or may not agree with. Is it needed? No. I've got these big old long screws here. Let me turn this around so I can see what I'm doing here. And then I just turn this sideways. And again, you don't need to do this. And I'm going to put one big old screw right down here on these two. Should I do a pilot hole? I guess I could. I don't think it's that necessary. I'm just going to eyeball it and put one of these right through this side. So on top of those two brackets, with this long, hell, you can probably make this shelf with just this screw. So that's one long screw in there. Put one on the other side. And again, that's just going to make it, if you're putting a lot of heavy weight, if you're putting heavy weight, that's just going to secure it up a little bit more. Turn that around there. Put me a nice long screw on this one. Line it up, make sure it's going. Woo! Okay. Now these deck screws are kind of expensive, but man, they're worth it when they hold. They're not going to rust and drip. They're not going to cause you any problems. This is just a damn solid shelf. Hell yeah, I could sit on it. I could probably stand on it. Let me. Shit! If it'll hold me, it's a good shelf. So, Is that overkill? Is it too strong? Hey, you know what? I like building something so I ain't got to rebuild it. So that's how you build a shelf. That's how I'm building them. Get those brackets. You have Home Depot cut the wood. You come back here. If your measurements are good, put in a few screws. You got your nice shelf. Again, I could leave those long and I could make 4 shelves, 5 shelves. I could paint it, stain it, do all that stuff. I could stick it in the back of my closet. I can put it in a safe room, wherever. That's a good solid shelf. All right, hopefully that helps, and pretty simple, not rocket science, but sometimes it helps to have a different idea. We'll end it there.